In the dark and cold forests of Argonne in October 1918, a group of men lived through one of the most harrowing and heroic episodes of World War I. Surrounded by the enemy, isolated from their army, and under constant fire, they refused to surrender. This is the story of the Lost Battalion. In 1918, World War I was in its final months, but the path to victory was arduous. Allied forces launched the Meuse-Argonne offensive, an operation aimed at breaking the German lines and bringing the conflict to an end. Among these forces was the 77th Infantry Division of the United States Army, composed of men from diverse backgrounds, many of them immigrants who had recently arrived in America. The United States' participation in World War I, 1914 to 1918, was a crucial moment that marked a turning point in the conflict. Although the U.S. maintained a policy of neutrality during the early years of the war, it eventually joined the Allies, the United Kingdom, France, Italy, and Russia, in 1917. When the war broke out in 1914, President Woodrow Wilson declared U.S. neutrality, aligning with the prevailing sentiment of isolationism in the country. Although neutral, the U.S. supplied food, weapons, and other goods to the Allies, which heightened tensions with the Central Powers, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. The sinking of the British liner Lusitania by a German submarine in 1915, resulting in the death of 128 Americans, began to change public perception of the war. On April 6, 1917, the United States Congress approved the declaration of war against Germany after President Wilson argued that the nation must fight to make the world safe for democracy. The United States quickly mobilized, organizing the American Expeditionary Force, AEF, under the command of General John J. Pershing. More than 4 million Americans were mobilized for the war effort, and approximately 2 million were sent to Europe. American troops played a significant role in several decisive battles on the Western Front, such as the Battle of Cantigny, the Saint-Mihiel Offensive, and the Meuse-Argonne Offensive. The arrival of fresh and well-equipped U.S. troops strengthened the Allies and weakened the morale of the Central Powers. In November 1918, shortly after the massive influx of American troops, Germany accepted the armistice that ended the war. The Argonne Forest, with its rugged terrain and dense foliage, became the setting for one of the war's most incredible stories. On October 2, 1918, about 550 men led by Major Charles Whittlesey advanced deep into enemy territory under orders to take a strategic position. However, they were unaware that they were being surrounded by German troops. Cut off from the rest of the Allied forces, the Lost Battalion became trapped. Without reinforcements, with inadequate communication, and surrounded by the enemy, the situation quickly became desperate. For 5 days, the men of the Lost Battalion endured relentless siege. German artillery rained down incessantly, ammunition ran low, and casualties mounted by the hour. To make matters worse, friendly fire also struck them, causing additional losses in their own ranks. Salvation came in an unexpected form, a pigeon named Cher Ami. On its final flight, gravely wounded, it managed to deliver a message that saved the battalion from friendly fire. The message read, "We are along the road parallel to 276.4. For God's sake, stop the firing." On October 7, after 5 days of isolation, Allied troops broke through the German lines and reached the Lost Battalion. What they found was a group of exhausted, wounded, and starving men, but with an indomitable spirit. Of the original 550 men, only 194 survived. The bravery of the Lost Battalion became legendary. Major Charles Whittlesey received the Medal of Honor, though the experience deeply scarred him. Tragically, Whittlesey took his own life a few years after the war, unable to overcome the horrors he had endured. Today, the Lost Battalion represents not only the sacrifice of the men who fought in the Great War but also the human impact of a conflict that left scars on an entire generation. If this story moved you, don't forget to leave a comment and share the video. Help us keep alive the memory of those who gave everything for a better future.